Okay, we are going to be doing the character analysis now that you've watched the movie that I left for you to watch. Um, I will need you to make sure you use your book and turn to the proper pages that we looked at in the textbook. I don't have my book with me, so I don't remember exactly what pages those are, but you can find it um, in the most recent chapter we've been working on. So make sure that you go there and reread the section on internal traits and external traits so that you'll know exactly the kinds of things we're looking for. But I want to go through it here and explain it to you so you'll make sure that you understand what I'm looking for. So let's start off with internal traits. If you'll recall, internal traits are what make you who you are on the inside. And that can be things like your personality, your attitude, your likes, your dislikes, your education, your socioeconomic status, your family background, your experiences. All of those things kind of go in together to make you who you are on the inside. Your internal traits can be broken down into three sections that we've talked about before: mental characteristics, spiritual qualities, and emotional characteristics. So make sure that as you're answering these questions, give me detail. So don't just say on the mental characteristics, the character is clever. Well, give me some examples of how the character is clever. So I don't want one or two word responses. I want details. So tell me what you think and give me the evidence. You know, what from the movie that you watched makes your character uh, makes you feel like your character has those particular traits. By the way, make sure up here somewhere you type in the character that you are analyzing because I'm not going to be able to read your mind. Okay, so make sure you do that. Now remember, spiritual qualities have to do with um, not just your religion, but your attitude, your emotions, those kind of things. So make sure you don't just consider the religion on this. Make sure you also consider all the other things that the textbook says that that covers. Then you have your emotional characteristics that your character needs to be considered and analyzed on as well. Now we'll get to the external traits. So remember, external traits are what you can see and hear about your character, things that you can analyze with your senses, okay? But remember, your external traits tell you something about who the person is on the inside. For instance, the posture. If the person constantly stands with their head down and their shoulders slumped, that tells you something about who they are on the inside. So it's important that you note those kind of things. Besides those kind of the posture and all that, that can communicate not just who that person is on the inside, but it also sets up the relationships between the characters because if someone stands tall and is confident, that automatically uh, causes a change in the way that people relate to them compared to someone who might stand with their shoulders slumped and their eyes down and never looking anybody in the face. That changes the way relationships work. So those are important for you to notice. And when you analyze your character, it's important that you, as you're portraying that character, try to use your external traits because that's all you have to show your audience who your person is on the inside. Okay, so make sure your external traits illustrate who your person is on the inside. So as you're analyzing your character, how did your character stand? What was the character's posture? Movement and gestures. In other words, how does the character walk? What kind of gestures do they move? Do they shrug their shoulders a lot? Do they nod their head a lot? Do they wink? Those kind of things. Mannerisms. Mannerisms would be small things that characters do that kind of give away something. They might constantly be chewing gum, or they might constantly be um, chewing their fingernails, or they could be tapping their foot all the time, something like that. Voice, tell me about their voice, not just uh, is the voice high pitch, low pitch, medium pitch? That's important. But are they monotone in their voice? Does their voice reflect a lot of animation? In other words, do they really come alive when they talk? Does their voice have any particular mannerisms itself? In other words, do they use like a lot, or do they say a certain phrase or a certain word often? Also, does that include any kind of regional dialect or accent? Mode of dress. In other words, do they dress neatly? Do they dress casually? Do they dress sloppily? Do they look like they are uh, homeless? You know, something like that. Or do they dress like royalty? That kind of stuff. That tells you something about them. So make sure you give me good details. I don't want just one or two or three words. I want details. Okay. The more detail, the better your grade. The less detail, the worse your grade. Then there's some additional character considerations you need to consider. What is your character's objective? In other words, what does your character want or need? And there could be more than one per character, so keep that in mind. What is the character's motivation? In other words, what is it that drives your character? Why does your character want or need that particular thing? What obstacles stand in the character's way? Remember, when your character has an objective and there's an obstacle standing in the way, that creates a conflict, which is what is the basis of drama. So, what obstacles are standing in the way? Uh, you need to describe those in detail. What is the character's deepest fear? You may not know that specifically. They may not have said that. But based on what you know about that character, what can you surmise or infer is the character's deepest fear? Does the character have any odd habits? Anything that's different? What songs or poems remind me of this character? Um, be creative on that one and don't just say I don't know. That's just not an acceptable answer. Okay, be creative. Think of something that reminds you, and you don't even limit yourself to songs or poems. If you want to, if this character reminds you of a particular person or something like that, just something kind of in the abstract that this character reminds you of in life. And the last thing is there an aspect of the character that you know nothing about? Okay, just something that you just have no idea about. You can't make any inferences. You just don't have any clue. All right. If you have any questions, please email me, and hopefully you can finish this in one day. If not, you can go ahead and finish it. Take 2 days to finish it. But I hope you have a good day. Email me if you have any questions.